We present Democracy in Action. The station is Third Eye Africa TV. Why Democracy in Action? Well, we are told that politically, any nation that gets it right, every other thing will follow. Today in Nigeria, so many things are being put to question. The Nigerian Constitution, 1999, as amended. Some people are saying there are gaps, there are lacunas that need to be corrected. For example, the preamble itself says, "We, the people of Nigeria." Now Nigerians are saying no. The military simply wrote that. There was no occasion, no time that Nigerians were elected, appointed, or selected from all walks of life to phrase that statement. So they want a different thing done. So to speak, they want a constituent assembly that will bring Nigerians from all walks of life to ensure that the proper phrase, "we Nigerian," is actually done by Nigerians. Quite a lot of things, the patriots met and also said that elections in Nigeria should be done one single day. That Ghana is just a stone throw from here. They do it one single day, one-stop shop. Can we do it? Some will say the population of Ghana is just as little as a state or two in Nigeria. But can we learn something from Ghana? We move on. Federal character, so to speak, true federalism. What is wrong as it is today? They said there is too much concentration of power at the center. So there has to be some devolution of powers. How should that be? Many things to be discussed within the next 1 hour. My name is Ben Sherman, handling Democracy in Action. And I have a guest that we all know, only that let me hide him and say little things about him. Twice he was commissioner, one in Plateau State, another one in Nasarawa State. And when insurgency came, in order to ensure free flow of information, there was the need to have all the spokespersons on board. Military, Navy, Army, Navy, Air Force, the police, the DSS, all of them had a one-stop shop. They had somebody who could speak when it came to insecurity. So he was the coordinator of the Joint Security Information Center, and at the point he was in charge of reorienting Nigerians. I'm talking of chief and a doctor, the one he read, PhD, Mike Omeri. We want to thank you for coming to Third Eye Africa TV.
Thank you for the privilege to be with you and to see you again, Ben. Third Eye, from what I have seen so far, is a place to be.
Thank you for the encomium.
Thank you.
Now, Nigeria, do I say at the crossroads, the patriots are making some demands. The Nigerian Constitution, that preamble itself, that it is wrong. It should have come from Nigerians, and for that reason they want what they call a constituent assembly to be appointed to do a better job. What's your take on all of this?
Well, essentially, a constitution is a ground norm of a people who have chosen to surrender their liberties and certain rights to a structure of government that will deliver on governance for their welfare and well-being, for their safety and security. So we have a constitution. We have had several constitutions from the parliamentary system, those bequeathed to us by the departing colonial authorities, and then the subsequent ones that were imputed by Nigerians. But there have been issues surrounding the operationality of of the constitutions, having, you remember there were efforts from the time of the Constituent Assembly in 1977 or thereabouts, 76, 77. Then the subsequent efforts are constitution making. Now, the last one, which I'd rather refer to as the Abdulsalami Abubakar Constitution of 1999, was drafted by the military, and it had some not too, expanded involvement of citizens. So they claim we the people is a bit doubtful, because a people's constitution should have a cross-section of society and owners of the document make input into it. So because we have not seen that, and there are issues that are not in there, and we thought it would be nice that such views should come in, such views from the people should come into the Constitution of Nigeria, so it can appropriately go with the appellation we, the people of Nigeria, have decided for ourselves to make this as a guide. Maybe that will help us to be obeying the laws we make for ourselves, because now there's there are lots of lawlessness in the country.
Now, but some people are actually saying that, is it the fault of the document or the fault of Nigerians that things are not in shape or the way they ought to be? So which side do you belong, or you belong to the two?
A constitution drafted by a people means is a kind of a set of laws or rules for guidance on the discharge of basic functions. So if you make input into it and you break it deliberately, it means you are a deliberate law breaker. You are doing intentional things. But laws that you don't know, you don't own them. Secondly, yes, I believe no matter the size of a constitution, you have to have a people with the will to invoke it, to live it, to use it. If you don't have values that will guide you into, into disciplining, or values that will discipline you into, respecting your own laws, that will be lacuna. So a good constitution in place without values and morals in the hearts and minds of citizens is also another document that is as worthless as the last one or the one before it. So the constitution that we are talking about today should infuse forcefully by law some of the things that are guiding our norms of our society, of the things we value. And we can only achieve that when we have people bring in their various experiences and local customs, and not customs like dances and cultures, but customs that guide society. Once we codify them and make them our laws, we will live according to it.
But some people are also worried too. We've seen many of these conferences. Abacha hat is on, Abdulsalami hat is on, Uwe's commission, you came to Goodluck Jonathan hat, Obasanjo, all of them, and they're still saying that it's really not about the number of conferences. What do you think about this?
The failure of taking all the conclusions a step further has led us to this quandary. Now, that is why the patriots are clearly saying, look, set up a constituent assembly. Let the National Assembly create a constituent assembly to draft the laws. That will take us, or draft the constitution, and that will take us a step further away from the usual things that we have been doing. Once we do that, then we subject it to a referendum. Nigerians vote for the issues, and then the National Assembly will pass it into law, and the president will assent to it. Yeah. And we have for us a document.
Yes. Now, you see that when the West committee or body brought out a document, people say, look, it's the best. Outside that, okay, go to 1963 Constitution. But at the point, lawmakers were saying, look, the job they ought to have done was given on to somebody else in the name of a committee. Now, who is going to make that pronouncement? Even if you send to the president cannot make an executive bill. Therefore, all of that would still have to come to the National Assembly. So why don't you allow the National Assembly, send it to as a bill? How do we come out of this when the National Assembly will see that its own job has been taken over?
The National Assembly should know its functions. Its functions is not to make laws. The way to make constitution is not to draft constitution for a country. That's why we're talking about the Constituent Assembly, whose powers shall be derivable from the National Assembly. The National Assembly will cause it to be created. Its function is only to draft the law, the constitution, and return it to those who will pass it into law and make it workable. And that is the National Assembly versus the President. So they have a specific job. Once they finish, they dissolve, they go away. It can take, we have lots of constitutional lawyers, they have collected so many inputs, but amending the Constitution is not their primary function. Making laws for the general, delivery of governance is their function. So let the Constitutional Assembly come, the Constituent Assembly come, draft the Constitution, it will still go back to them. That is the process.
Now, the leader of the Patriots, talking of Chief Emeka Anyaoku, former Secretary General of the Commonwealth,
yes.
I remember interviewing him some 18 years ago. He's constant in his demand. Look, the center is too powerful, and therefore many things will not work because the center is holding on to too many things that regions can handle. Now, what's your thinking about the strength of the center vis-a-vis the need to do some power devolution?
Well, it is correct because, for instance, the federal government of Nigeria has Federal Ministry of Agriculture. It does not have land. The lands belong to the states. That is where the land is. Why can't we devolve issues of agriculture, of our food security, and all of those things there? That is one example. Ministry of Education. Let the states continue to do educational things. There are so many things that the states can handle. Now we are having competition between states are establishing universities, federal government establishing universities, wasting resources doing the same thing, teaching the same courses. When institutions can expand, can accommodate at the state level. If we are copying the American presidential system, you can see states in America have universities, and the states, California, for instance, is sustained by the university. It's into research, into innovation, it's into so many, models of doing things that is contributing to building that state. Now, you hardly hear the Federal University of America. Where have you heard of that? Here we have Federal University of Agri, we have University of this, University of that, to the extent that they are all teaching the same thing. So devolve this power so that universities can specialize. When we know if we know that you went to this university, you are an expert in that. If you went to Leicester, you know that that person graduate from Leicester in the UK is grounded in communication studies. You go to Cambridge, people know what you go to do there. The economy of Cambridge is down around the university. So why can't we encourage this kind of things instead of holding on to it, having a minister who does not know what the universities are doing minister in Abuja, something is happening in Maiduguri or Sokoto or Calabar and distant places. Let's devolve these things to the states. The local government administration, everybody, is it state, is it local government? There's so much confusion. So let's define these and take roles back to where they should be so that the federal government will concern itself with diplomacy, with international relations, with military and such security that is for the good of all of us,
Okay, you're mentioning the third tier of government, the local government, is actually an issue where up to today, some people will say it all started from Jama'ah local government with Ahmed Makarfi, who felt he could remove a local government chairman. It was the beginning. And in terms of the control of local governments, you could see that virtually every state, the governor is pocketing the local governments. And this is an issue too that the patriots are talking about. What are your takes when it comes to local government administration?
Unfortunately, I would say the local government administration was even better, far better, during the military administration and subsequently the First or Second Republic. Because I know then, my father was a counselor for education, and they were building classrooms. They were moving around, making sure that teachers are, they recruited quality teachers. There are so many things that they were doing. Even when, as counselor for works, they were doing bridges connecting hamlets and villages, some red earth roads and stuff like that. But today, the local government cannot do those things. They cannot do those things because they are under the control of another authority that warehouses their resources and determines what they do and how they should do it or how they do it. Now, what we are saying, devolve this power, let everybody go and do his thing. But if you insist, let the federal government remove its hand from sharing resources to local government areas. Let's have clearly defined rules and format of how to send resources to local government through the state. So keep it at the state level, but define it so that the state can, if they like, they can create 1 million local government areas. That is within the competence of their resources. They should look at their income, they should look at their other various sources, and if they can sustain local government, let them go and create and deal with it as their headache. But if you insist that the federal government will look for money and give through the state who warehouses it, and we have selfish leaders at that level who would determine what happens at the local level as a tier of government, then we'll continue to have problems. It shouldn't be treated as a tier of government, but it should be a development center where things can happen. It is good for the state government, it is good for the federal government, it is good for the people most of all.
Now, when you look at, when one looks at northern Nigeria, for example, the insecurity, attendant poverty, education is low, healthcare delivery, and of course, banditry, quite a lot of things that way. One would have thought that by now, this issue of community policing, this issue of state police would have been in the front burner because of the situation. But it looks like there's always the talk without any work, nothing to show for it. So, by your own assessment, psychologically, what do you think is the mind of a governor?
Well, I've never been one. I wish I've taken the leap long ago. But let me tell you, we have seen examples where the conduct of local government elections are not subjected to proper processes and expression of the will of the people. I know in my state, at a point, we had a local government election. Till date, the winners don't know how many votes they won with. The losers don't know how many votes.
Which is your state?
They lost with Nasarawa State, yeah. But winners emerge. All one party, all this and that. So if we continue in that attitude, we are not only destroying democracy, we are destroying the pillars of development. Because people vote based on what they see or they need. And they see it in candidates, they have seen the proposals or the manifestos or plans of both, so they choose what they want. But if you insist that it must be one, then you are not determining the will of the people, instead of allowing the people to determine what they want. So, you are right. In Nigeria, the issue of community policing, we have canvassed for it severally. Even our submission from the North Central was heavy on it. We said, look, allow communities to own their own police, but define roles, graduated involvement in security management. So if you do that, if you say at the community level, there should be policing, but by the people there, what do they do? They check two fighting, they check, they share intelligence, get intelligence, give the police and so forth and so on, that at the community level, at the local government level, at the state level. And we also propose that, look, there should be joint command of the police between the federal and the state. Because so many times you find, and what do I mean by joint command? The Inspector General of Police can rotate commissioners of police to ensure that, abuse, their services are not subject to abuse by the governor and so forth and so on. But it must be done by a non-partisan, freely, appointed Inspector General of Police. That way, the Commissioner of Police, as soon as he reports to the state, will subject his powers to the instructions of the governor. The governor should be able to tell him, look, there is a crisis here, go and manage it. Or deployment to these places, because the governor has several sources of information. Now, why do we say that? If sometimes the governor will tell you that he's hamstrung, he's not able to direct police commissioner to act in a way as to prevent uprising and crime, because the commissioner of police will have to, in order to carry out those orders, operational orders, will have to seek permission from headquarters in Abuja. So let the police share that joint command of the system, but then we should have policing with graduated powers down the line that will help in the management of security in communities and everywhere.
And one thing is key. When they call the governor as the chief security officer of the state, and he cannot command a constable.
So these are certain flaws. And talking about the Constitution, talking about the Constitution, you see, I have a copy of the Constitution, American Constitution. It's a quarter page of a newspaper, 30 pages. And it is all about the rights of Americans, citizens' right, how they will protect everyone, how they will ensure this, that.
That's the American Constitution.
Now, the Congress and the Senate, they have work to do, because every day things evolve, and there are new people, new generation, things change. So they have work to do. They are they are amending constitutions every day, every week, every month, as situation demands. So the lawmakers are busy working, bringing addendums and guidelines on how to do things. But here, our own National Assembly is busy approving budgets and loans and all manner of things unthinkable.
With threats of...
and the National Assembly will say, on your mandate we stand. National Assembly is supposed to be an all-respectable institution. We are not against dominance of the assembly by a political party. We are not against loyalty, but you don't come there to desecrate it. You can show loyalty by ensuring that your party wins at all elections. That is okay. But to come and, it's not correct.
And we're hearing that the National Assembly itself, they're working towards ensuring that APC has two-thirds majority at any sitting because of membership.
That is politics. If they are able to get everybody, that is their gain. But, the other people who move there, why are they moving there? If they have something strong to hold on to, if they have values, if they have ideology and they think the APC is not doing well, don't forget. That is why in our proposal, we are proposing the enforcement of this cross-carpeting while sessions are on, because you are voted based on ideas, based on ideology and beliefs of your people, popular. And that was why you came there.
And the political party.
So if at the end of the day, you don't believe in what brought you here in the first place, but the people believe in it, stay there, finish the work, then go back and ask for another mandate in your new party of interest. So anybody who crosses should be removed from the National Assembly. Let him go and seek a fresh mandate to come back.
Perfect. And probably that is why also the patriots and many other Nigerians are feeling, look, elections in Nigeria could be done one single day. The moment you go to vote, they just hear that a president or National Assembly go to state and just say, go vote. So what's your take on that?
You see, our processes has made the ballot paper for each election longer than it should be. All we needed to do is to begin, as in other climes, the way we see it, there is a process of sieving, people who will contest presidency. As the election year comes, multiple candidates, America has plenty candidates, a lot of candidates, but they will start saying you have to have a threshold of either constituency support or number of signatures or number of votes as you progress. Then on your own, you drop. You keep dropping down the ladder. We end up with, there was a time America had 3 or 4 candidates, because they had certain threshold. Even today, you go to America, there are some parties that are there in counties, in some local administration, mayoral administration, and so forth and so on, different from Republicans and Democrats. They exist. So let's allow that freedom. That is why I say state governors must not insist that everybody must come from their party. Whether you are a party or not, when you win, you are governor for everybody. You are president of everybody, not your party. And that is what blots out development, because you now automatically block out fresh ideas or ideas from the other side that can help deliver good governance for the people, to your credit, even though it's not your party. It happens. And talking about that, when Abuja was created, laws were made, we didn't envisage that this population would come into Abuja. Now there is a population growth that the people of the FCT are thinking, why can't we have a mayor elected by us? He must not be appointed, so that we can hold them accountable. We can also make input into the agenda of governance and service delivery, and so forth and so on. And I think it's a legitimate right. And these are the kind of things that I expect the National Assembly to sit down and legislate upon.
Now, the judiciary too has come and they've put it on a scale. In terms of appointment, you separate the office of the Honorable Minister, Honorable Commissioner for Justice, as opposed or different from Attorney General, because you can't join, one is political, the other one is professional. So where's your loyalty to government? Where's your loyalty to citizenship?
Correct. So we have Attorney General, Minister of Justice, Attorney General. Minister of Justice is a party man. It's a party appointment. He's a member of caucus of a political party. So he should go there and be explaining and legally supporting decisions of party that would run contrary to constitution and hurt government. When we have the Solicitor General that can prosecute and do other things, I'm not a lawyer, but it's just common sense, that these things be separated. You cannot make laws that fit your political party to the detriment of the wishes and will of the people. Okay, canvass it. Go and canvass it at the national. Canvass your position at the National Assembly. Whatever you want to do, go to the National Assembly. They have the powers to legislate, but don't insist and force it down the throat of the citizens through the Attorney General and Minister of Justice.
So, who do you think has the authority to appoint, say, the chairman of INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission?
For now, it's the president that does it. Of course, they take it to the National Assembly.
But in your thinking?
I think it should be subjected to the National Assembly. Okay? It should be subjected to the National Assembly. Because there are many people there in the National Assembly. You cannot come and say you're doing one party or the other party, or one individual or the other individual. But just like the National Assembly Service Commission, and some other, like the Code of Conduct, is it Code of Conduct? So one of these bodies is appointed, is appointed by the National Assembly to uphold the moral statutes of that office. So why don't we have the representative of everyone make input into the appointment of INEC chairman?
Or advertise it like a job?
It's another way.
And appoint some maybe past leaders to screen.
To screen and get one person who has exhibited competencies and is suitable for the job, because it's not enough to have competence. You should be suitable for the job that you are applying for.
Now, going by past conducts of INEC, do you have some fears for 2027?
Well, you see, my fears is, and I want to be held accountable. It's my personal view and opinion. When INEC during election will tell us that they will promise election will be displayed, real time, then they will tell us there are glitches. After the glitch, nobody hears of repairs or what they are doing to manage it until another election. We have another glitch. This is the second one where we've had before. We are having continuously. Why must INEC rely on a technology that is constantly glitched or giving it a problem? And then what are our universities doing that INEC cannot commission all these federal universities of technology that we have to design a competent system for it, for election? There was a time I had some people in Kaduna or somewhere came up with some idea that could have been improved upon, tried, tested, and used, deployed for the conduct of election. Recently, the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations conducted its own elections, and it didn't. There was no fuse, no glitch, nothing. It was technology they deployed. So, what is the problem?
Maybe the contract system is the problem. Corruption.
Well, apart from that, the contract system, that is the process of awarding and acquiring the facility. But why is the output always glitched?
Because of corruption, probably. Well, we'll come to all of that as we go on a very short break, and we'll come back. My name is Benjamin. Our guest is Chief Mike Omeri, and of course, an astute administrator, a Nigerian to the core. We'll come to that.
We're talking about South and the North. You talk about middle belt. Currently in Nigeria, we don't have middle belt. North Central is what we have.
Okay.
And they are included in the North. If the perception is because Nigeria is standing on a tripod, you have Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, they are the owners of Nigeria. That is a very wrong perception. These are major tribes in Nigeria. Simple.
Yeah.
Nigeria is owned by every single citizen of this country.
If you go to civilized nations, they possibly have, stratified their political parties such that those who play at the national level are there. And at the local level, you have other minor political parties playing there. And it gives sense of belonging to every citizen to be able to contest.
And in fact, once you have joined APC, all your sins are forgiven.
It's okay. It's okay. Off your mic. It's okay.
This is Third Eye Africa TV, exposing crime, savaging the nation.
Welcome back. So let's still look at INEC because this issue of stretching elections over time and you announce election, this first batch, it therefore affects just voter apathy. You bring presidential, now you've known who is a president. People will either refuse to go to vote or they say, look, why do I vote when a man didn't get? So how do we avoid voter apathy? How do we make elections very interesting? This issue of, will my vote count? It's still ringing in the psyches of many Nigerians.
Okay, Ben, before I answer that, I want to correct one thing. I am the Obo of Kiana. I cannot be chief. We only have one chief. That is the Osana of Kiana. Yes, I have other chieftaincy titles from Igbo land, from Kogi, and several other places that can make me. I'm sure that is why you're calling me chief. Like Ochudo of Okoka and several other titles. But let Kiana people not catch you, because there's only one chief.
Well, thank God there is Kiana. They will take care of me because I actually refer to the chieftaincy title, not the chief of a territory.
All right. Talking about the question you asked.
Voter apathy.
Yes, I agree with you. That is where we'll have the one-day solution. Because if you put everybody on the ballot, you vote and finish, the outcome, you live with the outcome that you have. But we are gradually beginning to see people not coming out to vote. We all know in many places people write election figures. This is true. It cannot be contested. People write figures, but allow people to vote, and they can. This can be nice and sweet when we have elections in one day. Just come and vote and wait for the outcome. What you see is what you get, or what you get is what you see, because that is the choice you made. But staggering elections is another way of influencing the outcome. So it is better that we are able to sieve candidates, reduce the number from presidential down the line, so you can have a short ballot paper just a piece of paper that will have all the various offices being contested for. An election is not in one day. As the results are clicked, everybody is seeing the progress so far.
Now, all these political parties, many candidates, I mean, very soon a ballot paper will be like a mat in Nigeria,
that is
because of numerous candidates. But why is it that we cannot be moving towards some two-party system by way of alignment? Because here you are with presidential candidates, some will just end up having 5,000 votes, 500 votes in a whole federation where they should be concentrating on regions. What really is the issue?
You are right. That is why it's good to have threshold of elimination. If you want to contest, let the process begin long. Let's see how many. You see, there are levels that you can even have staggered elections. For instance, at the local government, at the ward constituency, all those ones, no problem. Anytime somebody goes, bring another person, let him stay the number of years that he's supposed to stay before another election. Don't say because somebody served for 1 term, 1 year, he exited the chamber and you have to bring somebody else. He must exit at the end of, no, let them continue with their tenure. Then, after his own 4 years, you should record 4 years for him, not 3 years or 3.5 or 2 or whatever. That way, you ensure institutional memory, 1. 2, you are able to see the number of candidates that will contest an election. If you are not represented in the county, you are not in the state assembly or some other elections, you don't have to fill a candidate at the presidential level.
And some people are also feeling that, look, you also gauge them or you know them by how many people they even have at the state assembly.
That is what I'm saying.
And if you come to the House of Representatives before you even come to federal,
exactly,
how many do you have?
That is
so that you just want to build up a CV.
Exactly. Let's have a threshold on the process, so that, and then the parties, whether they are 2 or 3, should be ideologically clear. So if you're not here, if your ideological bent is this way, there is a platform for you, or the other way, platforms for you. So 2, 3 parties, not a bad problem.
Now, I have been wondering, just like many other Nigerians, many lawmakers have died in this country. Some 3 months, some 5, 6 months, and there are no elections done. Which means these people do not have any representation anywhere. So I was wondering why, and even though, like you said, you are not a lawyer, isn't there no lacuna? Is there no time frame? I say, once this is not in this, the time election should be held. Because many states, senators, House of Reps, state assemblies, you just see that they are without a sheep. A shepherd.
Yes, the INEC will always tell you they are not ready, or they are preparing, or they are waiting to be communicated by the National Assembly that so seats have become vacant. And sometimes the National Assembly is reluctant to do it. There should be a provision that will guarantee the equal representation at all times.
Maybe the political parties too should take it.
Exactly. So they should insist. But again, no matter your insistence, if INEC says they are not ready, there is nothing you can do. So we should have laws that enforces INEC to, within a period, organize an election. They are not too difficult to organize. INEC will gather 2, 3, 4 and say logistics issues, they have to wait for 10 months, 5 months, 6 months to conduct elections. There are so many elections that are still pending. Some have become governors and left, some have become this and that, and so many things, some have died, and the things are vacant. And nobody is talking about it. Even when you talk about it, INEC will say they are yet to be communicated, or they are planning how to do it, and so forth and so on. So these are complications that INEC, within their downtime, when they are not conducting elections, they should be planning for it. They should have a thinking unit that will take all of these issues one after the other to begin to advance corrective procedures for their own system to work efficiently, to avoid all of these criticisms and insults that they get every day.
Okay. Now, looking at the communique at the end of the Summit of the Patriots, this issue of empowerment, this issue of the economy, this issue of state true federalism, so to speak, at the point sometimes you see the opposition mostly coming from the north. They say, look, control the resources within your domain. And some will say, no, the south will cheat the north. The south will say, the north has not explored
its own resources. Hence they live in fear. I want to agree with the proponents of that, because the resources in the north are far more than the value of oil in all of the so-called north. And I say so-called north because I'm supposed to be from the north. But when Baba Ahmed came to that forum and said the north was not represented, and many of us were sitting there, Professor Garba from Sokoto, Charity Shekari from Kaduna, and myself and some other people who are Alhaji Ibrahim Azara, so many, some ambassadors, so many people from different parts of the so-called north were there, and he said the north was not represented. We felt insulted, and that underscores the need for a new constitution to tell us who we truly are. Because we cannot grow up to this level, and someone will still come and they insist that we should bear the appellation North Central, and then somebody will sit down and say we are not Northerners. And this is not the first time. When Ibrahim Ogohi and Co were appointed into services, the same people came and said the Northerners were not appointed. So if we are only Northerners when it suits a section of Nigeria, of the North, then I don't want to be a Northerner. I want to be a Northerner in the North that cares for me and sees and respects me as one who has value and can contribute to its progress and development. Most of our elders did that, and I think they did it unknowingly. I don't want to be one of those that will raise that. I want to talk Nigeria. I don't want to talk North or North Central or whatever. I am, by their own definition, I'm a middle belter. And that is important to me, because I see people like me with the same culture, the same values, the same nature of integrity, and so forth and so on. Now, when you are bringing the two cultures together to merge, and we agree to work together, treat us as same people. Otherwise, there is no need to look for me only when you have issues.
And I've had reason to interview some people. By the time you mentioned middle belt, they said, no, there's nothing like middle belt.
Who defined middle belt? Was it you?
When there was also a political party, middle belt, progressive, Joseph Tucker.
So if we had all of those, but we are now debating a bit the history of politics in Nigeria. At that time, all the constitutional conferences that were happening in Lagos, you hardly find people on the platform from this part that you call middle belt. They were not there. They had to go as members of another political party, Awolowo's party. That was how they were going to when they go there, they will now stand up and introduce themselves and say who they are, and that was how the fears of the minorities of the North and the Midwest were brought to the fore. But we all went, the Northerners will go and sit down and say they are talking for the North, but they talk for themselves. I'm sorry I'm opening all of this, but that is history. That is the truth.
Yeah, it's part of history. So what is wrong with the minority?
Until Tucker and J.S. Lord and some other people came to Agwatashi in Nasarawa State, in the one village, to launch the UMBC and to demonstrate our Nigerianness and our love for all of us. The people there had to, when they were being blocked from contesting election, they brought Imam from Borno to come and contest from here, to show who is, in this situation, who is willing to live like a Nigerian. We brought people from Borno to come and represent us in here. And today, somebody would still call us. So who is retarding who? Who is retarding development of the North? It's these mundane things that do not hold any space for progress. So the North is complaining of empowerment, complaining, is it not the same resources they get? Kano gets the highest resources from the federal account by virtue of the number of local government areas, so it cannot be complaining of this thing. Now the highest number of people on the street are either from Kano, Katsina, and Sokoto, and so forth and so on. And they are the ones who have the most local government areas and get the most resources. So what are they doing with their resources to help the people, take them to school? The other time, some governors were closing schools because of Ramadan. Is it right for the child? When governors were growing up, were schools closed even when our late Sardona was alive? Did he close schools for people to go and fast? Who are they deceiving? So you have now reduced the opportunities, educational opportunities of these people that were sent home to go and rest while their counterparts in the south are in school. Tomorrow you complain that you are not empowered, you don't have education, you don't have this. Meanwhile, you are the architects of this. It's very disheartening.
And it had to take Goodluck Jonathan to build some Quranic schools.
And they are not using it.
Okorocha, the same thing.
They insulted the schools. They almost made sure that people don't attend those schools. In fact, people don't use the schools. They are now turned into some homes for reptiles. What are we doing to ourselves? Why can't we tell ourselves the truth for once?
And doing to ourselves, the issue of governance, for virtually all of them got scholarship, but today they are showing every common man's child Pepe.
You see, we had organized systems that were delivering on these promises. We have development plans, we have this and that. Do we have it? Governance is on impulse. Today, if you're a friend of the governor, you see him, can I do this? Hey, go and do it. No process, nothing. Whether it's in line with the development plan of the state, in line with the vision of the founding fathers of the state, is not established. I was one of those that founded Nasarawa State in terms of, even in the agitation for it. By the way, I was press secretary in Plateau. When we came to Nasarawa, I was press secretary before I became commissioner for youth, sports and culture. Then I became commissioner for information, youth, sports and culture. And I became commissioner for works, housing and transport. And we laid the foundation there for so many of the things that you say. People did not follow the vision. That was why at the point we had issues of exclusion. People begin to see things differently. Nasarawa began to drift. What we are simply saying, treat every citizen of Nigeria as a citizen of Nigeria, an indigene of a state as an indigene of a state. If you want to live with me and aspire to the things that I are ordinarily within my own purview, no problem. Live with me, adopt my ways, look at the things, the opportunities within what I have. How do you fit in? Participate in it and build it. Not that I appoint you, we elect you today as governor of a state. Tomorrow you say you claim that you are from another state. And in your state, we can't have the same opportunity. These are the issues. So how do we take out some of these things from the Constitution that make us, let's be thinking Nigeria. So that we will not have thief people fighting in Nasarawa. Then they will say, a thief man in Nasarawa, if you ask him, somebody dies, you say he's going to Vandekea or somewhere to bury his people. And that is his ancestral land. But he's here in Nasarawa claiming ancestral land. A Fulani man will come from nowhere, enter the bush and take land and hide there. Now the Fulanis we see, the Fulanis we knew, will stay with us, they will graze and move. If they are moving, they will leave their things in the custody of the locals. Another year round comes, they take their things, they graze around for a period and move. In fact, then farmers will invite herders to their farms so that they will now eat the corn stalk and stuff. They will fertilize the farm. That was the symbiosis of relationship we knew.
Because of the manure,
exactly.
The cow
But
dung.
today we see other people coming with arms, forcefully. Well, I would say forcefully because they just settle without informing anybody in the bush, and they have arms. So if they now start fighting with farmers, they will not stop at their farmland. They will come to the communities and kill innocent child, innocent woman, rape, do all sorts of things.
So how do we come out of this? The conference can take care of some of this?
Well, that is what we are talking about. Let the conference decide. Let the conference strengthen our systems, our immigration, our military, our intelligence,
our Nigerianness.
Let's promote it. Let the National Orientation Agency be empowered to do the right things. Because if we do the right things, we will not be faced with all of these challenges. Let's begin to codify our values and teach them in the schools. Let it be in our social spaces. Let it be in our faces. Let us celebrate our Nigerianness. We are proud Nigerians. We chastise smaller African countries for this, for that, for that. We look down upon them. But their values are driving their progress, while ours are vices. Vices taking us down the drain. And that is what we celebrate.
So 3 things here. When we hear, we the people of Nigeria, they say, no, it is wrong. Okay, one north. Now in the north again, they said, no, some people are not northerners, even though geographically they are in the north. So when it comes to elections, they say, oh, we the northerners would not vote for this. So who is this we in the north?
So that is the issue. So we should define ourselves and begin to vote. Not our leadership selection criteria should not be on the basis of tribe and religion and region. Let it be on the basis of suitability, not just competence. Some people, like I said, may be competent, and we have seen examples, but they are not suitable for the job. So don't give them. Create a process that will give you suitable people who are competent, who are knowledgeable, who are educated, who are trained to handle issues. We have them in abundance in this country. Once our leadership is right, it will insist on certain things and the followers will take it. It will now change this thing that you say is chicken and egg, whether it's the followers or let a determined leader come using the power of the people to redirect them back to the path that they should go. If we draw a line today and say, look, universities, we want you to design this for us, this one, do this for us, Nigerian universities. And I, as president, I will not be doing this, I will not be doing this. Let it be practical and say, will the followers not change? They will change. But we come, when each time we bring a leader, he comes to, in addition to the bad ways that his predecessor had left, he will come and add to his own. That is why a governor who served for 8 years will take pension that is more than his this thing for life. And a civil servant who has served 35 years or so will be left with nothing.
And you see, from governor with full pension, you move to Senate, full pension. From there, you become a minister, full pension. And that brings to mind what you call the weaponization of hunger in the country.
Exactly.
At the point people are hungry.
It reduces the
We're
cycle
talking
of
about
participation.
farming now. How much is a bag of fertilizer for people who are ready to farm? It's just not there. I mean, apart from that, you just see that people live in some IDP camps and you want to go into
such attitude
sharing of food.
Emasculates the beauty of participation. It denies ideas the opportunity to breathe. Okay, that is why I say, even if people, not all of us, not everybody must work in government, but let's give people opportunity to explore their talents, their ideas, their capacity, their knowledge, their learning. It can be done. But today you see a lot of people, graduates, they don't know what to do, they don't know where to go, they don't know how to start. They have to have somebody in government, even if they are not grounded in what they are doing. If once they have somebody in government, they go. I was reading in the newspaper that a local government has a store, the staff of the store staff 128, but there is nothing in the store. They have in one area they have whether 50 or 20 something drivers, and they have only 3 cars. So what are they driving? Who is fooling who? Why are you doing this to ourselves, for God's sake?
Okay, we're coming very close to the end of this discussion, but not without looking at political party administration. At the point, they said there are provisions where the law says no court should entertain political party matters because they are internally theirs. Now you can see leadership crisis in Labour. You also see that in PDP. And so how do we come out of this? Should the judiciary simply go to bed and say, no, there's policy of non-interference?
Let the judiciary remain to adjudicate issues defined for it. Let the politicians handle their politics. Each time we go to court, we are subjecting the rights of choice to the courts, to a few people who will sit down with wig and decide for us.
But like a Labour Party now, Nenadi Usman faction is there, chairmanship, Aburi is there, Lamidi Apapa. So who really?
They needn't go to court. Their paper, what is their document? Their party manifesto or party constitution saying. Let them subject it to test. Let them invoke it. If not, why do you waste people's time, people's money to go and print a constitution that you will not obey?
Then you go to PDP, issue of the secretary.
Sir, it's the same thing. Why did PDP have... It's not... The issue of secretary did not ignite the problem in PDP. Issue of secretary ignited... what ignited the issue in PDP was Atiku's exit with the other 5 governors in 2015. If Atiku had remained, he would have been president by now.
Because of arrangement, formula.
So is it not their own arrangement? Can't they sit down and do give and take? Would the country finish? Would the country run with the last person that served? There will still be space for you. Now that they have gone to do what they did, have they still ruled this country? They have not. Then you see, we are humans. We are not God, and we cannot pretend to be or try to play God. We have rules set for ourselves, let's follow it. If the constitution says this and this, and there is room for maneuver, and this person is exploiting it, look, when they say people evade tax, not everybody evade tax, because you have to know how to evade it. You have to know what it is before you evade it. Evading tax is not the problem. Once you are caught, you pay for it. So if somebody sees how he can, how long will it take? Is it another 4 years? And you have opportunity for yourself. Now that they have done what they did, are they making it to the presidency that they have been looking for?
That is the million naira question. Some will say dollar question waiting to be answered. And that is it. That we have come to the end of this program, Democracy in Action. And our guest has been Dr. Mike Omeri. We want to thank you for coming to Third Eye Africa TV.
Thank you for the opportunity, Third Eye. Happy that you have this platform, at least for Nigerians to express themselves and reach as many people with knowledge, with information, with communication and entertainment.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Our own contribution to democracy in Nigeria.
Thank
Proudly
you so much.
Nigeria.
The media has a stake. It has to help the process of democratic growth.
Thank you very much. My name is Ben Shaman. Till we meet again, it's bye for now.